Oh, all right. Sorry about that. I was forced to turn it down. All right, let's take a look here. So the first question said, what property of matter determines if it will sink or float? What did y'all say? Density. If you remember back to yesterday we had the opportunity to take that little pre-assessment about density, right? So we're going to talk about density today. So I thought we'd, start a little conversation about density. That is the thing that tells you whether something's going to sink or float. How do you know if an object will sink or float in water? What do you have to do?
If the object has higher density than the water, it will sink to the bottom.
So if the object has a higher, density than the water. Hey, do you guys know what the density of water is, by the way? 1 what? 1 gram per milliliter or 1 gram per cubic centimeter. Same thing. Yep. So if there's a higher density than water, and that's the density of water right there. Density of water, I suppose. Have a higher density of water than it will, what did you say? It will sink. Conversely, if it has a lower density than water, what's it going to do? It will float. Absolutely. So we'll just change that. So if it's lower, then it will float. Awesome. Okay. So we've mentioned this at least one other time this year already, but I think that sometimes we need to dig in a little deeper. And so that's what we're going to do today. So yesterday you took those little quizzes. I took a look at those quizzes, and we have 3 different lab opportunities for you. And I tried to match you up as best I could to the thing that I thought would challenge you some and build your confidence some. Does that make sense? So they're all kind of doing the same thing, just at different levels, and it's great. Everybody is paired up, and I paired you up kind of randomly based on how things went. So I'm going to give you those pairs in just a minute, but before I do that, I want to make just a couple of statements about lab safety, okay? You all signed a lab safety contract at the beginning of this year. I don't know if you remember doing that or not. It was a number of months ago now, and I've got those in my drawer and with your little signature on there, so when you become famous, I can be like, look, that person was safe in my lab, right? I could totally do that. In addition to that, it says that you're going to use the equipment properly. Okay, so when we're measuring density, what is density related to? What 2 things about an object do we put in together to find its density? Go.
Mass.
Mass and volume, right? So how does one measure mass? Do you know how you measure the mass of an object? I heard somebody say something else. I'm gonna call on you in a second, but I'm gonna ask what's before a follow-up question? A precursor question. What is mass? Do you know? It's related to the weight of an object. Yeah, it's how much stuff there is, right? How many atoms we have. So we're counting up the number of atoms, but we're not going to do it one by one because that would be ridiculous and not possible, right? But we have a tool that allows us to find the total mass of the object. Oh, okay. Coming back later. I'll come back to you for another thing. How do you find the mass of something? Anybody know? Go.
Put it on a scale.
Put it on a scale. Yeah, you put it on a scale. So you've all taken the mass of things before, whether you realize it or not. We've got 2 different kinds of scales here. And I would encourage you in this lab to try them both out, okay? One of the types of scales is right behind Evan, right over here. It's called a triple beam balance, okay? And it's got 3 beams, so that's hence the name triple beam balance. And basically it's just like a teeter-totter where you put an object on and then you find out what its mass is, okay? If you've never had the opportunity, in science to use a triple beam balance before, today is a great day to do that, okay? They're really easy to use and I'm very happy to teach you how. So that's the first thing, okay? The other type of balance is an electronic balance, and there are 3 of them scattered about the room. There's one over there, there's one over here, and I think there's probably one right over here next to Jackson, okay? The thing that I need to tell you about the electronic balances is that the electronic balances that I have in this room was outfitted for physics, because that's what I do in here all afternoon is physics. They are expensive pieces of equipment, okay? They are not meant to like lean your shoulder on, how heavy am I, right? They will, number 1, max out way before your weight, okay? And number 2, they will break. And they are on the order of about $200 a piece. So if you would like to give me the money to replace one, that would be really lovely. Do whatever you want with it, right? But please, because you don't want to have to do that, sarcasm aside, do not mess around with my balances, okay? Use them for what they're supposed to be used for. Don't screw around with them. They do have lids that have to be lifted up. So if you look over at the one behind Caden and the one next to Jackson, they have this little clear plastic thing on them. The one that's over here in the corner, do you see how it has kind of a lid that's open? Okay, if you're trying to find the mass of something, if that lid is closed, it's not going to work. So I had a couple of kids last period try that, like, why isn't it doing anything? Because it's closed. So I'm just, fair warning, heads up, now you know. You got to open the lid in order to get the balance to work. So, moral of the story about balances is be careful. Don't screw around with them. Use them for what they're supposed to be for. So that's the mass. What's the other thing that goes into density? What is it? Volume. And you're going to find the volume in one of 2 ways. In one set of labs, you're going to find volume of liquids, and you'll do that, and it'll be fine. If you are measuring the volume of a solid, like, I don't know, this piece of acrylic plastic, in order to do that, what kind of experimental tool do you need to find the volume of this piece of plastic? You need a ruler, right? That is probably something you've done before. My basket of rulers is right here. And the safety that I want to make sure that you're aware of with these is that they are intended to measure. Okay? They are not intended to slap down or slap on somebody or used as swords or lightsabers or any sort of similar thing like that. Okay? They are intended to measure the length of plastic cubes. All right? Again, you guys can handle it. I know you're mature enough to be able to do that. So just make good choices. This is your warning. Okay? All right. What else do I need to tell you? Anything? I think you're pretty good besides that. I'm going to be kind of going around from station to station to help you out. Like I said, there are 3 stations. When I put your names up there, you'll see in just a minute, some of you are highlighted in blue. Your stuff is over here. If you're highlighted in yellow, your stuff is over here. If you're highlighted in pink, your stuff is over here. Okay? I would like everybody to take a sheet when you're writing things out. I would like you to work together with your partner. You and your partner are doing this together. You're going to learn from each other. You're going to talk to each other. You're going to work with that person. Okay, I think there might be one trio, but I can't remember for sure. You need a pencil. Everything else can be put away. I'm going to go ahead and give you your lab groups so that you know who they are.